I'm Mariah, 72. Standing in the kitchen of our new home in Boston, I'm surrounded by the sounds of laughter and music. The triplets, Lily, Rose, and Daisy, are here, filling the house with life. Lily is helping Daisy with her physical therapy, while Rose is practicing the violin in the living room. It's a far cry from the emptiness I once knew. A year and a half ago, I was a wealthy but lonely widow. My husband, Henry, had passed away 10 years earlier, leaving me with a fortune but an aching void. Our only son, David, was a successful lawyer, always busy with his cases. We talked on the phone regularly, but I often wished we could spend more time together. Then, one fateful day, everything changed. David was killed in a car accident. I felt like my world had ended. At his funeral, held at the local church where he'd been baptized, I was in a daze. People came up to me, offering their condolences, but I could barely hear them. As the crowd began to disperse, I noticed three little girls standing near a large elm tree. They were identical triplets, about 10 years old, with long blonde hair and big blue eyes. They were wearing simple white dresses that looked a bit too formal for their age. They walked slowly towards David's grave, each carrying a single white lily. When they reached the grave, one of the girls, Lily, I later learned, whispered, "Bye, Daddy." My heart stopped. I must have made a sound because all three girls looked up at me. Their eyes were filled with surprise and a bit of fear. Then they turned and ran towards the parking lot, holding hands tightly. I was in shock. Had I really heard one of them call David Daddy? But that was impossible. David had never mentioned having children. I asked my neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, if she'd seen the girls, but she said she hadn't. I started to wonder if my grief was playing tricks on my mind. But I couldn't forget about those girls. Every day after that, I went to the cemetery, hoping to see them again. It was a week later, when I finally did. They were wearing their school uniforms, blue skirts, white shirts, and navy sweaters. They walked towards David's grave just like before, each carrying a single flower. This time, I managed to approach them. Lily, the most confident of the three, asked me if I was David's mom. I nodded, unable to speak. She then introduced herself and her sisters, Rose and Daisy. They told me that David was their daddy and that they missed him so much. I was in disbelief. How could David have kept this a secret from me? I asked them where they lived, and they said they lived with their Aunt Grace. Grace worked as a nurse at the local hospital and took care of them after their mom, Emily, passed away 4 years ago. Just then, I heard a woman's voice calling the girls' names. A woman in her late 40s, with short brown hair and a kind face, came running toward us. It was Grace. When she saw me, her expression changed. She was clearly protective of the girls. I tried to explain that I just wanted to understand, but Grace was hesitant. She said that David had made his choices for a reason, and that the girls had been through enough. I told her that I was David's mother, and that these were my granddaughters. I had a right to know about them. After some discussion, Grace agreed to meet me at a nearby diner to talk. At the diner, she told me that Emily had a genetic heart condition. Two of the girls, Rose and Daisy, had inherited it. The condition was manageable with the right treatment, but it was expensive. David had been helping with the medical costs, but now that he was gone, Grace was struggling to keep up. I was heartbroken. I felt so guilty that I hadn't known about my granddaughters and their struggles. I told Grace that I wanted to help. I had the money to cover the medical costs and to provide them with the best care. At first, Grace was reluctant, but she could see how much I cared. We decided to give it a try. I started spending more time with the girls. I visited their home, a small but cozy house on the outskirts of town. The girls showed me the pictures and drawings they'd made of David. I could see the love and happiness in their eyes when they talked about him. As I got to know the girls better, I realized how remarkable they were. Lily was the organizer, always taking charge and making sure everyone was okay. Rose was the dreamer, with a passion for music. Daisy was the peacemaker, always trying to make everyone happy. A few weeks later, during a routine check-up, the doctor told us that Rose and Daisy's condition was progressing faster than expected. There was an experimental treatment program at a hospital in Boston that could help, but it was a long-term commitment. It would require us to move to Boston for several months. I didn't hesitate. I told Grace that we were going to do it. We'd all go together. We'd rent an apartment near the hospital, hire the best nurses and tutors, and do whatever it took to help the girls. Grace was still worried, but she could see the determination in my eyes. The girls were a bit scared at first, but they were also brave. They knew that this was their chance to get better. We moved to Boston and settled into our new home. The treatment was tough. There were days when Rose and Daisy were too sick to do anything, and days when Lily felt left out because so much attention was focused on her sisters. But there were also good days. Days when Rose's heart function tests showed improvement, and days when Daisy could walk a little farther than before. The girls' resilience inspired me. They taught me the true meaning of love and family. Now, as I look around this kitchen, filled with the laughter and music of the girls, I'm filled with a sense of peace and contentment. We've faced so many challenges together, but we've also grown closer as a family. I'm grateful for every moment with these girls. They've given me a new purpose in life, and I know that David would be happy to see us all together. I'm curious about you who listened to my story. What would you do if you were in my place? Have you ever been through something similar?
Comment below.
And meanwhile, I'm leaving on the final screen 2 other stories that are channel favorites, and they will definitely surprise you. Thank you for watching until here.